where we're going to be following specifically the FA Cup all the way through to its climax at Wembley next May. We've been picking a team right from the start. Well, our first choice in the first qualifying round was Cleaton Moor. They got beaten, and they got beaten by Bridlington Town. Now, they're 20,000 to 1 for the Cup, but it hasn't stopped us following them so far.
You might remember 3 weeks ago how Grandstand followed the fortunes of Cleaton Moor Celtic as they bowed out of the FA Cup to seaside club Bridlington Town, a team of bricklayers, bank clerks and a standing goalkeeper. Not since Bob Wilson's early days has there been a goalie who can report on his own team's fortunes.
Humberside Sport with Rob Palmer.
The sporting headlines tonight. Worcestershire get the double. They've won the county championship. John Moore is out of Hull City's lineup for their trip to Portsmouth tomorrow. And this Humberside Seagulls...
That's me, Rob Palmer, failed professional footballer turned BBC reporter based at Radio Humberside. The old goalie gloves came out of the closet for the start of the season and Brid's match amongst the horses at Cleaton Moor.
I'd answered the emergency call from town manager Colin Appleton. Well, 4 matches later, 3 clean sheets, regular keeper Gary Cox is back from suspension and I'm out. Well, that's football. But this time I've answered the emergency call from Grandstand because John Motson can't make it. So it's goodbye to the goalkeeping gloves and hello to the TV microphone.
Colin Appleton, who coaxed me out of the newsreader's chair into the nets, knows all about the FA Cup. He enthuses as much at non-league level as he did in his professional career.
And Appleton racing 15 yards brilliantly for that.
As a player in the 60s, he twice played in FA Cup finals with Leicester. Went on to use his own philosophical style of management to inspire his players and impress some of the game's top judges of a coach.
He was in the top half dozen of his year. In fact, he was the top coach of his particular year, which included Bobby Robson and Don Howe. Over the 20 years I was at the Football Association, Colin was top in his year, so you could put him in the top 25 coaches over a period of 20 years, which is, you know, he's highly rated by any standards. In the company of, for example, Malcolm Ellis and Terry Venables, those sort of people.
Colin hit early highs with Scarborough, reaching 4 major non-league cup finals. He then moved into the league with Hull City, lifting them from the depths of Division 4 to the brink of Division 2, before leaving amid some controversy.
I'm a northerner, aren't I? But having said that, you know, I did elect obviously to go to Swansea after Hull City, and that didn't work out, and then I went down to Exeter. Had 2.5 years enjoyable time down there, but there's illness in the family. There's 1 or 2 things that I weren't particularly happy about, and consequently, you know, I really agreed to come away, and it was Christmas of '87, and yeah, I've been out of work since, really. Come on, to me, Brenner. Get us alongside it. Jesus, work out your system.
Facing life on the dole and living back in Scarborough, Colin's devoting most of his spare time to the part-time players at Bridlington Town.
That's back to my grassroots, you know. I mean, in the 50s, I was playing non-league football at 18 in the March, and in the September I was playing First Division football in the First Division at Leicester. So, you know, I mean, it was possible then, and it's possible now. And there's an awful lot of sort of hype that goes on in between that. You know, either players want to play or they don't want to play. If they've got ability and they want to play, then, you know, I love being with them. But if they've got ability and don't want to play, then, you know, then they're not around me long because they won't get success.
I'm one of many players at the club who hail from Colin's old footballing stomping ground in the Humber Bridge area. 12 players in the squad are from Hull. As well as raiding the local radio station for a goalkeeper, Colin went to Brandsburton Hospital on the outskirts of Hull to find his former Hull City defender Bobby McNeil, who works there now as a porter. McNeil's career flourished under Appleton at Hull City. He's now putting his faith in Colin to get him back into full-time football. Neil Sellers, a non-league international during Scarborough's days, is another who's teamed up again with Appleton and hasn't seen a change in his down-to-earth approach.
I think Colin can adapt himself to any level, really. Colin just loves football, and he probably lives for football, and he always gives 100% or even more. So I think, yeah, he can manage at any level, whether it's with a First Division club or even a Sunday League team.
Besides bringing Colin to the club this summer, millionaire chairman Ken Richardson has financed new floodlights and a main stand.
Eventually, within probably 5 years, Bridlington will be one of the leading amateur clubs in the country.
Do you see it maybe on parallel lines with Scarborough just up the road?
Well, no, I won't like to compare us with anyone. We're Bridlington Town. I'm Ken Richardson, and I don't copy anyone. We are the Joneses. We don't want to keep up with them.
North Shields, Town's opponents in the first qualifying round, also have a manager in Jim Pearson, who's got fond memories of the FA Cup.
Darracot's cross. Pearson! Got away from the marking, and Jim Pearson puts the finish to Darracot's free kick. And surely puts the finish to Derby County too.
Pearson's goal helped put Everton into a semi-final clash with Liverpool back in 1977. A late winner was disallowed. Everton lost the replay, but there are still FA Cup dreams for Jim.
Everybody says the league's the most important thing, but the cup has a bit of glamour. The longer it goes, obviously the more special it becomes. Because if we can get through, or any club can get through the 3 or 4 rounds leading up to the league clubs coming into the competition, then it is really big stuff.
We're talking about the excitement of the FA Cup. Obviously, as a league player, you've seen it. Do you still have that excitement at non-league level with part-timers?
Yeah, again, it's at a lower level, but this game's every bit as important as the sort of third round if you're a pro, because we've got to try and get through into the first round and then onto the third round when you never know, there's Man United, Everton, Newcastle, whatever.
But before you go places, you've got to get to the ground first. Bridlington's bus broke down and the players only just made it to North Shields before kick-off.
Have you been on the
Once out of the dressing room, Colin's banter disappears and he brandishes his orders. The volume of his orders were increased as Shields capitalised on Brid's jet lag. And Keith Mills makes me thankful it was Gary Cox and not myself in the goals. But we're made of stern stuff up in Humberside. The goal jolts us into action, and within minutes we're back on level terms. It's Clive Freeman's cross, and just look at the power. Gary Bratton gets in for the far post equaliser. The score stayed at 1-1, and Bratton, injured while scoring, was fit for the replay at Bridlington. Their referee, Mr. Arthur, almost ends up in the North Sea when he blows for the half-time whistle, just as Darren France winds up to score. But Big Darren, known as Dazza because of his likeness to Paul Gascoigne, must have managed a half-time Mars bar to find the power for the opening goal of the game. The poor old ref again came in for criticism in the build-up to North Shields' equaliser. Former Newcastle man Paul Ferris appears to take an elaborate dive. The replay shows Mr. Arthur was spot on. Ricky Warburton caught his foot, but the crowd was not convinced. From the free kick, winger Martin Henderson, one of the smallest men on the field, rose to take the game to a second replay. Bridlington won the toss to stage the replay last Monday night, their 5th match in the 2 rounds of the FA Cup. This time North Shields took the early advantage. Martin Chico Hamilton pops up to punish the Seasiders early on, so it stayed until the middle of the second half. With legs tiring on both sides, Dave Whiteman, who knew nothing about the first 2 ties, he'd been on holiday for 2 weeks, burst through to cross for Neil Sellers to apply the touch. It looked like a third replay until the 298th minute of football between the 2 teams. David Hall, defying the pain of a chipped ankle bone, blasted the deciding volley 2 minutes from time. So Bridlington today play Bishop Auckland, managed by Harry A. Dunn, who once scored an amateur cup-winning goal for Scarborough in the days of Colin Appleton.
In actual fact, in the 70s, he took a penalty away for us and scored the winner at Wembley. He's the manager now and playing now and again. It'd be interesting to see whether he puts himself in the team. So yeah, I mean, it is Bishop Auckland again is a name to conjure with in the amateurs and the FA Cup. So I mean, it's got an awful lot of charisma as this tie on Saturday.
As Colin looked ahead, most were just happy to celebrate, with the chairman savouring his moment of glory.
Money you can always earn, but you can't buy pleasure and you can't buy health. And I'm just proud to be part of it. And I've helped with the money, but that isn't what I like to talk about. It's the interest, because I get something out of football, amateur football, that money couldn't buy. I'm not a poor man, but I couldn't buy that kind of feeling.
Whatever the outcome of the match this afternoon, this is the end of the road for me. Collins decided, Gary Cox keeps the goalie's shirt. So, as the floodlights shine on for Bridlington, my days under the spotlight are over.
Rob Palmer, goalkeeper reporter. Watch out, Wilson. Well, we're following Bridlington at the moment, our cup team in the second qualifying round. They're playing Bishop Auckland today, and we'll keep you posted on the score, and whoever wins will follow them, and so on, right up to the final at Wembley in May. We're going back on the Olympic scene now, back to the boxing finals, and the 6th of those that took place on this day. It's at heavyweight. Who would be the heir to